Hey guys, Sam here, aka Ardent Vision. Thanks for tuning in. Wanted to put together a tutorial video today for all those streamers or new streamers out there, just like me, that wanted to get streaming with their PS5. So there has been a few hurdles that I had to overcome to be able to get my system set up to stream properly to something like Facebook Gaming, and also even Twitch and YouTube as well. Now, using your PC to stream is a lot more simpler, but if you want to use a third-party streaming system or a management system like Streamlabs OBS, which is exactly what I'm going to cover in this video, then you're going to need to go through a bit more detailed setup, and you're going to need some extra hardware to make this whole thing happen. Now, why would you want to do this? So straight up, I need to just preface this by saying I am not a pro streamer. I'm a long-time gamer and I've been in the technology industry for many decades, but I am not a pro streamer, so I'm probably going to leave out some specific stuff in this video. However, if you are looking for some tips on how you can get started with streaming through Streamlabs OBS and your PS5 and using a headset, which adds all the more complexity to it, then this is the video for you. So, you can stream to Twitch and YouTube natively with your PS5 just by using the broadcast option and downloading the Twitch app to your PS5. You don't need to use Streamlabs. You don't need a third-party capture card or something like that. But if you do want to have things like your overlays and your scene management and you want to stream to something like Facebook Gaming, then you are going to need this setup. So before I get stuck into the actual configuration of Streamlabs OBS, you're going to need some hardware, and it's going to cost you a few $100 at a minimum to get this set up. So without the obvious, you're going to need your cam setup, your PS5. You're going to need a laptop or something that you can stream through that's going to run your OBS, Streamlabs OBS setup on it. You're going to want something with a decent bit of video processing. So make sure you've got a laptop that you can use for that setting to manage that area. You're also going to need a third-party capture card. So I'm using the Elgato Game Capture HD60S. You don't have to use that specific one, but you are going to need to use something similar. And if you want to stream your PS5 while wearing a headset, and I've got the PS5 Pulse 3D gaming headset, which is a pretty decent mid-range headset, you're going to need something like the Elgato Chat Link cable, which just adds a whole bunch of extra cables to the setup, which is not ideal. And I've got to say, it's not the fun way to stream, but look, this is what's going to be required if you want to keep using this setup. If you don't want to use a headset, if you just want to stream straight through you and have the audio coming out your TV or coming out your monitor, then you can do it just with the HDMI setting, but I'm going to go through what it means to get things set up using the chat link cable as well, and specifically the audio setup in Streamlabs OBS, which is the harder part to get right. So thanks for tuning in. Let's get stuck into it. Okay, so I'm now sharing my screen. Hopefully you can see my OBS Streamlabs application open. So look, just a couple of things to preface this a little bit is you don't need any other piece of software. I'm using, with my Elgato capture card, it's a USB plug and play device, so I just plugged it into my Windows 10 laptop, and Windows 10 just found the default drivers for that. You can read a lot online around having to download and set up the Elgato Game Capture Utility, another piece of software. You actually don't need that. If you've just got Streamlabs OBS, then this should be all that you need. Again, I'm using a Windows 10 PC. I'm not a Mac user, so I can't comment on how this setup goes on a Mac device. But getting it set up on the Windows one was pretty easy. Plug it in with the USB. So there's a little bit of setup with cabling. You're going to need essentially a cable going from your PS PS5 into your capture card, and then also another one going to your output device, so your monitor or whatever you can actually play your PS5 on. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the audio next, but you're also going to need to have the USB plugged into your laptop, which is going to have your Streamlabs OBS installed. Now, once you've opened up your Streamlabs OBS, you're going to want to add a new source. Okay, so a source in this instance is going to be a video capture device. And you'll see that even Streamlabs OBS understands that the Elgato, is a capture card. You go through, you add that device, and it should be as simple as coming now up to, in your scene, you will have an Elgato. I've just named it Elgato, but it can be your actual game capture source. Once you've got that set up, it should simply output your PS5 video into Streamlabs, as you can see straight on my screen here. So pretty easy. I've got my PS5. I can move the controller and I can actually have this functioning. I can see it straight up there on my video source. So a couple of things about the setup, right? You want to understand that you can actually change the settings of your source, of your game capture source here by clicking the little cog icon. I can see that it's detected my Game Capture HD 60S, which is the device that I've got. Everything else I'm just left as the default. I've got my output is at 1080p, and I haven't really configured any of the other settings yet. Now, one of the things you absolutely want to be cautious of when trying to set up anything like this is audio. Okay, so the audio is by far probably something that I think you need to mess around with. The video part is probably pretty straightforward. You want to be making sure that you are getting here on your mixer. You'll have an output for Elgato. Now, if you were doing this from the PC, you might be looking at something like desktop audio. That's your game audio, but no, you need it to come through your game capture device. So we can see here that I'm getting audio coming through my game capture device here on the monitor. Now, one of the things I immediately found with this is the audio through this device straight into Streamlabs OBS was not loud enough. It was very quiet. And if I was to stream or record like this, you would barely hear any game audio. Now, obviously you can pump this all the way up to the top and get a really loud output. I like to make sure that this is not always maxed out. Now, how do I get more granular control over this audio output? Under the settings of this specific mixer output here, I've added a filter, and I've added a simple gain filter. So if you click the plus icon here, find gain, and then you can name it, new gain or gain output here. And I can add audio gain to this. And you can see here that the output is considerably more. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of this output and leave it just my gain one here. I've got it at 16.3. This allows the output to output more audio data so that then I can get the volume that I want through my game capture. An absolute essential part and something that I absolutely needed to do to be able to get this working. Now, this is just your video using HDMI audio. One of the challenges of PS5 is that if you connect a headset, and I've got the 3D Pulse headset, which is just a Bluetooth headset. If you connect this headset, the PS5 stops outputting audio through the HDMI. It doesn't output audio both through the HDMI like a normal outputting to your TV or your monitor and through your TV speakers, and output audio to your headset. It only does it through the headset. So you'll get no game audio. And this is one of the challenges you need to face. If you want to use a headset, you are going to need to use the something like the Elgato Chatlink cable. Now, be prepared for cables, because the Chatlink cable actually plugs into the controller and then also into the Elgato capture card and also into your headset. So the Pulse 3D headset actually has a 3.5mm jack output setting that you can plug into, because it is a wireless headset, so it doesn't have this, but you can still make it work. You can put one of the connections from your Chatlink cable into that jack on the headset. then through into the jack on your controller, and then into the Elgato game capture device. So you'll need all three of these connections set up to be able to capture this. The next most important step, once you've got these cables set up, you've got the chat link set up, you've got some output videos happening in your Streamlabs OBS, you're going to want to have your source selected here, and you're going to want to click settings, and you're going to want to click configure video. If you configure the video, it will actually open up another window. Again, if you read a lot about getting this set up on your PS5 using the Elgato, and I've watched a bunch of videos, and I've got to thank a lot of people actually for some videos that were helpful, but they didn't kind of always highlight everything that I found. I'm not using any other piece of software to change this. You can change this setting directly in Streamlabs OBS, and it's a pretty simple setting. It's changing this audio input from HDMI to analog. You will need to change that if you want to use the chat link cable. So if you have the 3.5mm jack plugged into your Elgato game capture device, and you've got it going through the headset and through your controller, to get the audio to work, you will need this. If I leave it set to this and I turn on or plug in my headset on my PS5, the game audio will stop. So this is the audio setting that you will want to deal with, and you'll need to have that set to analog. Okay, so that is the setting that you're going to need to be aware of. You need to change that setting, and you can do it within Streamlabs OBS directly. You don't need to go through another piece of software or another setting to find that. It can just be done straight in Streamlabs OBS, which I found helpful and useful to know. So that then allows you to have your audio set up correct, and again, you'll have your game audio with your gain filter set up in there. That also will allow it to record your game chat if you're chatting through some sort of game and you want to do some audio or something like that, chatting with your team. While you're playing, it can record that. However, it will not record your own voice if you want to talk over your stream, or you want to commentate your stream, or create a recording or a video just like this one here. For that, you will need an external mic or an additional mic. So you can get a third-party external mic. I mean, you can even use your mic that's inbuilt to your laptop. Depending on the quality you want, you can set up another mic there. And of course, you can then configure your settings and gain and add anything else you want, like I've got here using my mic output there. So now that you've seen how to get your PS5 set up, I hope that helps somebody out there. I hope that it saves them a few hours of working out how to get this thing set up. Look, you are going to need an external capture card. You're going to need the chat link cable to overcome that really annoying audio issue. Do I think it's a perfect solution? No, I don't. It's kind of annoying. I don't want to have all these cables and extra cables to deal with just to stream from my PS5, but it does work. It can work for you too. And if you want to get some great PS5 content out there, this is a cool way to do it with all of the extra controls and functionality that Streamlabs OBS provides. So guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll make sure I'll leave some links for my own channel so you can check out some of my own PS5 streaming. Hope that's helpful. Chat soon.